Okay, so this exchange came up a while ago. I was pretty late on this. I thought that when I got up in the morning, I would be able to just get right into it and start making videos on this. Turns out I was wrong, and I put that video in the wrong spot, and I'm hiding my VTuber model. You can tell I'm not very good at this. But, I work 6 or 7 days a week, depending on when I get scheduled between my two jobs, and I don't fucking sleep anymore. My living situation is ridiculous. I'm glad I don't have dogs barking right now, but that could start up as soon as my roommate goes to make zero fucking money. But, so this came up. Aydin Paladin was, bringing up the non-existence of the phrase woke right. She demands operationalization and actual academic analysis. She wants it to be measured, and she wants it to be, put through research papers. And I get it. It sounds reasonable to somebody that doesn't actually understand these concepts or ideas, but it's not. It's quite literally the opposite of reasonable in its entirety, because this isn't about some new phenomenon that had never been observed before. It's actually just about analyzing a critical consciousness. Like, when you see it, it's there. That's what woke always meant. People like to go back to, stay woke, and they want to over-intellectualize it and say that it's African-American vernacular English. Right, where I come from, we call it nigger babble. Okay, that's the actual academic term people should be using, but that's neither here nor there. But the sole purpose of the creation of the phrase stay woke was to affirm a critical race consciousness. It was to affirm that a person had a critical consciousness in a neo-Marxist reformation of Marx's critical theory. That was the whole purpose of it. That's exactly what it always was and always has been. When you see people on the right adopt a critical consciousness and they embrace postmodernism, that's what people are talking about when they say woke right. It doesn't get more complicated than that. It's observable behavior, it's observable language. It's not hard to understand. It's right there, it's in your face. You get shit like this. Sargon of Akkad recently had gone out and just outright declared it, which is funny that because we've got people saying that it never happened, it never existed, there's no such thing as woke right. He's just outright declaring that it is. Critical theorists are impressive thinkers, which is why you haven't defeated them. No, they're not actually incredible thinkers. They're quite the opposite. In fact, everything they put out is in rejection to thought and reason. It's just manipulation. It's just sophistry. It's really not hard to convince stupid people that you sound smart when you're just lying to them. And that's what the crux of this is. The whole idea of the woke right existing is that there are people who are right-leaning that are going to adopt the methods and the systems that are being employed by Marxists to manipulate people, to avoid truth. And right here, he even says that the problem is that reality as we experience it might indeed be radically subjective, and until you can demonstrate that it isn't, then we're in a bit of a bind, aren't we? No, actually, it is objective. Every single physical object has its location at all times without our awareness. I don't know where every single rock on the planet is located, but every single rock on the planet is somewhere in its precise location. There's no ambiguity or subjectivity to it. Everything is where it is. In fact, objective reality is the very basis of morality, and one of the things that these people that are called woke right, and I'm going to say they are called because I don't actually employ the term myself, because I understand that it's rhetorically impotent, because people are just going to lie about it, and really it's being used as a smear anyways by bad actors, including James Lindsey himself. The guy's... Are you fucking kidding me? I didn't silence my phone. Clearly I'm not a professional. But one of the biggest problems we're actually having when it comes to the idea of woke right is that the people who use the term use it as a senseless smear, like we've got here. I never want to hear you criticize Descartes again, kid. This was James Lindsey responding to Sargon when he was just outright declaring that, reality's subjective. The whole purpose is that he's being overtly combative. He's not being what's the word, cordial, I guess you could say. Hell, even worse than that, he's outright being dishonest. And that's kind of the crux of this whole woke right controversy, is that the people who are using the term are always being dishonest when they're using it, and the people who are denying it are being dishonest when they deny it. Like, outright declaring that it doesn't exist when it's overtly observable. It's right there in your face, it's very easy to understand, which sucks that you have to go into a very long explanation about it every single time, because when you just give them a straightforward definition, that's not good enough. You have to explain it. And then when you explain it, oh, well, if you had to explain it, it clearly isn't very effective. It's the same exact rhetorical device that communists were using on the woke left. They constantly demanded you define woke. They insisted no one can define woke, that woke isn't real, woke doesn't exist. They were always lying about that. And I'm starting to think, I played the wrong video in the background. That's going to cut out pretty soon. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, that's pretty fucking bad, actually. How much longer? It should be long enough. But the gameplay's dog shit. Like, let me hide these tweets. I mean, look at this. 19 health. Granted, the emulator I was running, for some reason, had a lot of issues with this ROM. Playing the game without cheats was fucking rough. I was constantly getting seen through walls and shit, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get back to the actual conversation. This guy says, I tend to be on your side of the discussion here, but you're being a pompous ass. Your being a pompous ass makes me regret my agreement. And that's kind of where I'm at. I do agree with James Lindsey's academic analysis, like from the perspective of a philosopher, because he was always a math guy. All right, he had to deal with hard numbers. He moved to philosophy later in life, which I commended him for when he did it. He actually takes the time to do serious, rigorous research, and the biggest problem is that because he has to do a lot of digging and he has to do a lot of explaining, it's easy to just hand wave it away and pretend like he's wrong about something or that he just made something up, because nobody has the time to check. Honestly, I don't even have the time to go through all of this shit. I'm not going to go into James Lindsey levels of depth because, I mean, on top of not sleeping and working 6 or 7 days a week depending on what I get scheduled, holy shit, I gotta play video games and jerk off once in a while. I mean, come on. That's just the way it is. I get it. And I'm in the same boat as this guy. I can't stand the fact that James Lindsey has to constantly fucking lie and smear. And that's kind of the problem. Like, look at this exchange here. Dave Smith says, these are the same people who will smear you for just asking questions. So pathetic. By the way, James is not an intelligence asset. They would send someone more impressive, because James Lindsey asked, is Dave Smith an intelligence asset? What do you think? And of course, one of these guys that's out here using the term woke right, he actually unironically does this, says James is also just asking questions. Why are you trying to censor him? Everyone's being facetious. They're all being disingenuous. Nobody's taking anything seriously. Nobody's being honest. They're just talking past each other and lying about each other literally all of the fucking time, and it's actually driving me nuts. When you say woke right doesn't exist, obviously you're lying. And when you go out of your way to say people like Dave Smith are woke right, you're obviously lying. Further still, James Lindsey and people like him keep bringing up this mythical, or I should say mystical? Let's try mythical. This mythical idea of anti-Semitism, because let's be honest, anti-Semitism isn't this mythological force that exists outside of reality, that people just magically hate Jewish people because they're Jewish for literally no reason. This idea that people telepathically communicated to each other over thousands of miles without speaking a similar language, convincing each other without ever communicating with each other that Jews are all bad because of blood libel or whatever, right? No, it's what really happened was Jews engaged in things like usury. Wealthy and powerful Jewish people were constantly doing terrible, horrible things, and they constantly got all of the Jews as a group kicked out of every country they've ever been in. Up until recent history, things have kind of changed. But that's also kind of the problem. There's so many people that are still looking at reality like that, that because the wealthiest and most powerful Jews that are doing terrible, evil things exist, all Jews are doing this, they're all in on it. No, the random Jewish guy who runs the bagel shop in your town doesn't do this shit. They're not a part of it. They don't have the wealth, they don't have the money, they don't have the Zionist connections to even begin to engage in this type of subversion and deception. Or hell, the very idea that, like, Henry Ford was anti-Semitic because he was angry that he was taken advantage of when he found out that a Jewish man literally fucking raped and murdered a teenage girl at a pencil factory. He was led to believe that it was just made up, that evil anti-Semites lie. Well, no, actually, the Jews were lying to protect someone who was wealthy and powerful and Jewish. And then on top of that, you have all of the Marxist subversives who were trying to destroy his company, including the owners of General Motors, who were Jewish, wealthy and powerful Jews at that, who rigged the courts in order to just enshrine the, the current state of fiduciary duty, to the point where now every single company in the world, in America, needs to prioritize short-term profits for the shareholders at the expense of the overall strength of the economy and the business itself. That's fucking insane. He saw that and went, hey, these wealthy and powerful Jewish people did this. Oh, Henry Ford is anti-Semitic. Well, no, he's not. But when you deny that wealthy and powerful Jewish people are doing these things, you're going to make people anti-Semitic. Like, if we come over here, right, we see this, the right fringe lunatics with dark triad traits, just like the left does. Like this guy's pointing out that there's something that really exists. This guy here, one of the woke right doesn't exist people, he says no one is denying it, which is a lie. Everyone denied it from the start. Alright, going back to Sargon of Akkad, he was denying all of this woke right stuff. He was denying that he was embracing postmodernism out of one side of his mouth while admitting that he was embracing it on the other. These people are lying, and it's pushing people who notice these patterns to go further into the James Lindsey camp. They hate the Jew spurs. They hate the woke right. They know that these people are lying, and it's further radicalizing them, and that's kind of a feature. It's not a bug. It's a feature. I mean, it was kind of always the way it was meant to be. That's how the woke left operated. They did the same exact thing. It's really just so frustrating to see everyone talking past each other and being dishonest and lying literally about everything. It's not just a centrist bullshit, I'm not a short fat otaku, alright? I'm a fat ugly bastard. Those are two completely different things. That guy's a communist fucking faggot and a liar. He's a fucking snake and he's objectively evil. Like, you can't pretend that he doesn't know things. He's a liar, and he knows he's lying when he says these things. It's just, the problem is really so simple. Both sides bad here. Both sides are lying. That's really the short and long of it. When you see actual identitarianism, when you see people adopting a critical consciousness, when you see people embracing the postmodern framework, you're recognizing that there are people who are using the actual strategies and the actual thought processes of the woke left. And they're, when you see that they're doing this, describing them as woke isn't somehow transgressive or made up or silly, because woke never meant blue-haired feminazis. It literally never did. Going back to what I mentioned with nigger babble and stay woke, it was always about having a critical consciousness. It was always about adopting this postmodern insanity. It always was, and it always will be. So when you see people doing it on the right, we're not just making it up, especially when Sargon of Akkad goes out and admits that that's what he's doing. He's not the only one either. I mean, when you look at those, let's see, what was one of them? I forgot to look them up. Now it's too late. I'm just not going to do it. I'm lazy. Some Wolf guy, Brandon Wolf, I think, it's some Christian nationalist dude, literally just wrote out what could have just come from Marx and Hegel, right? But he just puts a layer of Christianity over the top of it. Most people don't bother actually reading what he has to say when you point out that, yeah, it's actually just woke bullshit with Jesus thrown on top. People say, oh, they hate Christianity. Christian nationalism, oh, it's just Christianity and you love your country. It's not woke. Woke is the blue hair feminazis. Woke is the people who want to diddle kids and, teach them how to anally masturbate in Chicago schools. That was a real thing that happened. The people that say define woke, you can't define woke, will always defend the people that are trying to, instill a critical queer consciousness in your children, while simultaneously the people trying to develop a critical race consciousness in white children are consistently saying that you can't define woke right, there's no such thing as woke right. It's literally the same fucking thing. And that's what this really boils down to. So if I go back to the original Zweet, the operationalize it, prove that it exists, you've seen it. It's in your face. It's right the fuck there. And this is coming from someone who says that, oh, nobody's ever gone out of their way to properly, document or operationalize and study and analyze the dissident right, who sees themselves as a member of the dissident right. They just outright declare, oh, it's never been properly done before, but it exists. I'm one of them. A little contradictory, isn't it? Well, it's because Aydin Paladin was being dishonest. She really was. And that's part of the problem. I love her work. I respect her work. She's one of my favorite fucking well, I can't say people. I almost said VTubers. She's not a VTuber. But she's one of my favorite content creators. She makes content that I genuinely enjoy because this is shit I cared about when I was a kid. I focused more on philosophy than I did sociology, but the social sciences were very interesting to me, and I was deeply wounded as I got older and studied more and realized that academia was entirely corrupt and that all of the social sciences became anti-science religious bullshit. But she was being dishonest. And the same is true for James Lindsey. I deeply respect his work. I love his work. He's done so much, and he's done it well. He's one of my favorites. But I have to admit, he's being dishonest. He's lying. He's calling people... He would call me woke right if he heard me go on when I mentioned my opposition to the concept of mythological anti-Semitism. He would call me a Jewsberg. He would say that I'm one of these people that believes that the Jews run everything. Or he's even gone so far into being dishonest that he's outright just downplaying the concept of globo homo. He pretends like he doesn't understand the word. He doesn't understand what it means. It's just something the woke right people say as a smear. Just like how when he says woke right, people who the label applies to just pretend that it doesn't exist. It's just a smear. It's just made up. It's so fucking infuriating because globo homo is a very simple concept to understand. Globo is short for global, homo is short for homogeneity, and it's a double entendre because, yes, they're using critical queer theory and critical queer praxis to radicalize children into becoming the rainbow guard of a Maoist revolution to destroy Western civilization. And you could say, well, you think the Jews are doing that? No, I think wealthy and powerful people are doing that in a standalone complex. Zionist Jews are certainly doing it because they want Israel to be the only stable nation in the Western world. They have a vested interest in destabilizing other countries. The wealthy elites of the rest of the Western world have a vested interest in trying to create an illiterate serf class of fucking mudslimes that are dependent upon the state for everything because they're utterly incompetent, worthless savages that can't fucking take care of themselves without getting free handouts from the government. Like, that's part of the reason why Muslims are so successful in the Detroit area. They get fucking tax write-offs and a bunch of bullshit from the government going back to the 70s, which is why so many people can't stand the Arabs around here, though to be fair, not many people are really upset about the Christian Arabs in the Detroit area. It's just the Muslim Arabs, because they're actual fucking scumbags, because Islam is a religion of hatred and domination made in opposition to Christian morality. Like, when the Prophet Muhammad started saying his bullshit, he was doing that because he wanted to rape and murder, and he hated Christianity because it said rape and murder are bad things actually. Like, that, it's that simple. Islam is a disease and should never be tolerated anywhere, like at all. And the only reason Islam still exists is because there's too many evil people who are wealthy and powerful that have a vested interest in trying to reestablish a serf class, an underclass of impoverished people that don't have the wealth or power to become independent and become stable. But going even further into the dishonesty of people on either side, I'm going to go back to what are being slandered or smeared as the woke right. Again, they constantly appeal to this Marxist redefinition of equality. Like, they know that they're lying when they do this. They say, oh, they believe in equality, oh, the cult of liberalism and their, magical equality that can't exist. Well, actually, equality is the very basis by which people like you morally reject the concept of abortion. Literally. Like, that equality is why abortion is bad to you. Though it's the murder of a child, so fucking what? Why is murder even bad in the first place? If we live in a subjective reality, who cares if they're innocent? What even is innocence? It's all just made up, right? At least that's what I keep hearing. No, see, the problem I'm having here is that everyone is lying. On both sides. And like I said, this isn't a both sides bad thing, because both sides see me as bad, and I care too much about being correct. That's the short and long of this. I care too much about being correct to have a team. I don't believe in the friend-enemy distinction, because I know for a fact that people that appear to be your friends are likely to stab you in the back and fuck you over later. Just because they look like your friend doesn't mean they are. Today's friends are often tomorrow's enemies. Especially when you care more about being right than you do about being accepted. And this was largely unstructured. My music playlist broke. It should still be playing Toho music, and it's not. Like, I queued up way more than I'm getting for some reason, but that's fine. I guess I should probably just end it here, because it's just incoherent, psycho, autist babble at this point anyways. The people who cared about truth were gonna believe me in the first place, and the people who don't were gonna say I was wrong no matter how in-depth I got, no matter how much evidence I pulled up, no matter how many video clips I played, which, granted, I didn't play any, because that's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and I'm a busy guy, and I'm kind of lazy. And when you combine being forced to be busy with being lazy, your free time is very precious. So I'll just cut it off here. Yeah, I hope somebody may have learned something, or somebody's willing to at least admit that, come on, just admit a little bit that people are just picking sides rather than being correct, just once in a while.